How do you find the will to fight back against a world that wants to keep you sedated, average, and stuck in plates? Join us for the tools and strategies you need to create a life of abundance, discipline, and high achievement. This is the Tactical Empire with Jeff Smith.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Tactical Empire. Today, I couldn't be more excited to have my boy, my brother, my fellow Ranger Bat homie, Vince Vargas, on the show today. Thanks for coming on, Vince.
For sure, bro. I was a little offended that I wasn't invited sooner. I'm just saying. I saw you interviewed Nick. I'm like, yo, bro, where am I at? Where am I on the schedule?
Yeah. It didn't take you long. That text came fast. Hey, motherfucker. Like you're taking Marsoc motherfuckers first? What?
I love Nick. That's my boy, bro. And you know, a side note about Nick. Nick is probably one of the dude to put that little bird in my ear to trust myself, you know, and he's always been that dude. If I go to anyone for like some like, man, let me just vent real quick to this dude, I can just spill my fucking anger out on a dude. He goes, let's put this in perspective. And he, you know, he helps me kind of fine tune that. I think we all need that kind of that backstop sometimes in life. And he's that guy that said, trust yourself. And as once I did, and my wife is the other that said, trust yourself, you know, life kind of changed, you know, in a good way.
For sure, man. For sure. You've been doing a lot of big things. Tell us what you've been up to. A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, obviously film and television. I pivoted into film and television about 5 years ago. I landed a show for the History Channel by pitching it to a producer. That didn't go so well, but blessings that it didn't, because Mayans did. I went to LA to try and get into some acting, and the first audition I ever landed was one of the biggest TV shows in network currently at this time.
History.
So
yeah.
So very fortunate.
So if you guys missed that, this guy is one of the stars of the Mayans TV show, the spinoff from Sons of Anarchy, right?
Yep, that's exactly it. Yeah, we are on FX and stream on Hulu. You know, kind of one of these weird things where preparation met opportunity, met the way I look, and it all worked out. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you know, a testament to why I'm still there, I believe, is a lot of the work ethic and mindset that I had from the military. I kind of carried into the civilian world and acting, and you know, creating good relationships and being a good person on and off set, I believe is why I continue to get the opportunities. And also I believe I'm good at what I do. I've trained at it. I've worked at it. I've made efforts to be better every day. So that's what I'm doing now currently. And I'm also writing a lot in Hollywood. And so I'm waiting for that major opportunity here to come soon. After this next season of Minds, I'm going to start looking for a job as a writer in a writing room for Hollywood. That's one of my next ventures that I want to really be good at. What I'm working towards is being able to be a writer showrunner in the future in Hollywood and be able to produce my own show of a few that I've written and a few that I'm hoping to get out there, right? Because I'll explain it this way. I've been special operations in everything I've ever done since the military. And why wouldn't I do that same thing in acting in Hollywood, right? Why wouldn't I try and be the best there too?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think it's just how we're wired, right?
Right. I was like, oh, how do I do that? Okay, let me go do that. Next, how do I do that? And you know, I'm going to keep going until the good Lord calls me up to heaven, bro. I'm going to keep on trying to knock down those barriers that we put up for ourselves. I'm going to continue to strive to better myself and grow. And if that means one day I'm in charge of a network and I'm producing content that I believe is valuable for our society, well, then that's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
I think one of the interesting things that comes out of the military and special operations community, the people that I bring on here, one of the things that is a common link between everybody is just like everybody really understands and enjoys like digging into the process Like when you're talking about improving your acting skills and things like that, like you're dramatically better than you were the first season of the show. Like it's night and day. I mean, like that's not something you just innately knew how to do. So you can tell you put in the reps, man. And so
and that's the thing. I think some people don't understand how acting could be. How do you get better at acting? It's by doing more acting, by digging into characters, by understanding emotions, like understanding human emotions and learning how to convey those messages. Right. All I'm doing is really reading on paper, remembering it here in my head, and now I have to create all the context behind those words for you to feel it as a viewer. That's not easy, as much as it might seem easy to some people that probably just don't understand the levels of what you have to do to study and understand acting. I've made a conscious decision to genuinely be good at this, and I don't think I'm nowhere near where I can get to, but I'm working all the time at that. I mean, it's hours and hours on end and understanding human emotion and how to make my body feel it when I need to and make it believable, right? Like it's beautiful. I think it's, you know why I love it? It's this really interesting thing. I've spent my life kicking in doors, training to shoot, move, communicate, being this brute of a dude that I am. I've used that so much in my career that all of a sudden now I have to use my mind and emotions, something that I've been told to shut off all these years, right? Like be mentally tough. And that means just push out all the emotion and just go towards the objective, right? Complete it. And then my dad as a kid saying, don't be a pussy, son. Right? Yeah. Be a man. Like men don't cry. And then you're on set and I'm playing. I did this Christian film where, I see my daughter for the first time in freaking however long. And I'm bawling and the cameraman's bawling. The guy holding the boom is bawling and they say cut. Everyone in the room's crying. And I was like, wow, bro, like that's a different world. That's a different side of me that I didn't know had that power, bro. And that's different, dude. And that in itself for me was healing. That's a therapy that's all those years of being telling me that I'm a man. I shouldn't have emotion. I'm a man. Don't cry. That I probably should have allowed myself to have emotion. Right. It probably was a healthy thing to digest some of this stuff, but I hadn't. Things like from combat that we still probably struggle with, that I know I still, I still haven't come to terms with, you know what I mean? For our own friend's death, right? Things like that, that's still like, all of a sudden I get a teary-eyed and emotional because of a thought, right? Like things that I needed to heal. I wasn't allowed to for so many years that I think acting has been able to heal that. And I've learned so much from that. It makes me want to know more, right? Like
that's super interesting that you found it to be therapeutic, because like Kirsten, my wife, will tell you that we are magicians at being able to compartmentalize and shift from task to task, and like regardless of what is going on or what has just went on. And I think that comes from the military. Like you're out on an operation and you fucking take some casualties and shit. Like you still have stuff to do, right? You have to shift.
Oh, like, we're taught to, okay, now I need to do that job. Someone else will handle this. We got to continue the mission, right? And for us, the mission is life. Our kids, our wife, pay the bills, keep the roof over our head. So everything out here is just noise. Like, okay, I can manage that. I live off the term, like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? We'll figure it out. My wife's like, no. It's not time to figure it out. Let's figure it out now. Right? Like, let's not figure it out as we move. And I'm like, I go to the movies and just show up and whatever movie's playing next, I go, right? That's me. I don't schedule shit. I'm like, I don't care. I enjoy this weirdness of like, I'll enjoy wherever the path takes me. Right. And that's not always the healthiest thing. Right.
No, it's not. It drives women crazy, I believe too.
Yeah. And I mean, the cool thing is my wife is so flexible and learning me and also knowing when to say, hey, no, we need to organize something. Like, oh, okay. We need structure. Got it.
And let's talk about that a little bit. Like, let that segue into like one of the reasons that you and I are definitely like connected is that we're deeply, deeply family men. And like this guy, for the folks that don't know, is about to have baby number 8.
Number 8.
Yeah. And at one point we were shooting text messages back and forth about who was going to win the baby game. And I'm sitting here at 4 still. This guy just outworked the shit out of me.
Yeah. Well, you know, life and circumstance, right? We talked about before, like we have a blended family, and the blended family, like just because she had kids and I had kids didn't mean we didn't want kids together. And if in other circumstances, maybe we would have only had 4, right? Because life, right? Like sometimes, you know, we're just on the ride of life, and we just have to adapt to it. Like we said, you know, just figure it out. Yeah, man. I mean, you know, I think, you know, I've been married before, and that didn't work out for multiple reasons, right? Just being young. And I think the relationship started toxic before the military, and the military didn't help it, as well as being young and immature and not understanding how to communicate and a lot of things, right? From being young, we weren't ever able to fix that relationship, and thank God, right? Because, you know, I think we were terrible for each other, and to add war, post-traumatic stress, alcoholism, all in that as well. You know, it brewed a toxic environment for me, for her, for the kids. And when we finally were able to, you know, go our separate ways, you know, life was tough, but dissecting that relationship, saying, okay, well, if I want to do this right, because I believe in family. I was raised by a man and a woman who had, you know, we had four kids in our family, and raising this cool, like family vacations and family dinners and the support, you know, and this, it's just something I'm like, man, this is what life is meant for me, right? This is what I want to give back to the world as well, is raise my kids and mentor them. And there's things my dad didn't do that I want to be better at, right? You know, and so in having kids with my first wife, I was like, well, shit, man. Now that's not there, you feel a little bit of confusion and almost embarrassed, right? Like divorce was embarrassing at first because you have to tell people, right? Like, especially with the modern society with social media, everyone sees a picture get taken down and relationships change. All of this is like it's a weird nuance of divorce that is uncomfortable as fuck, right?
Yeah.
and then deciding whether you want to do it again, you know, and you know, I didn't just do it once, I did it twice. I got a second divorce, and that was a very different situation where I was working at I wanted to be a good dad, and I kind of rushed into something, and you know, we went our separate ways peacefully. And when I was sitting there ready to kind of just raise my kids, because there's more to the story that I don't mention, but I became a single dad. I became the custodial parent for my 4 kids. And when I met my wife, it was just timing, right? Like, she was looking for the right things. I was looking for the right things. She had the right answers for my questions, that because I wasn't just dating anyone. I was like, do you have kids? Do you have a job? Do you have goals? Right? Like, I'm older now. I want to really have someone with this very goal-oriented mindset and want to raise our kids in a very similar way. Her father was military, and so she understood me, you know. So this very interesting thing that when that happened, I made a more conscious decision of the mistakes I've made in previous relationships and how I can be a better version of me for her. And one of the biggest ones was I've always been in love with my jobs, right? And you know, I think you and I know, like, the way my father was my father wasn't much of a mentor for me. He was more of he paid the bills, and he was the disciplinary person. You know, if you fucked up, dad was coming, right? You know, and I appreciated how hard my dad worked, because I knew we had everything we had was because how hard he worked, you know? And so there's this gratitude towards him, as in, like, he's raised me to be this man. But my dad didn't have me have the birds and bees talk, because I think he was uncomfortable with it, right? Like, my dad didn't say, son, you probably shouldn't drink so much because it can hinder your growth in life and things like that. My dad didn't give me these speeches that I think would be very valuable to me as a kid. And so, like, you have everything in front of you, son, like, don't waste it on girls and booze, right? Because, you know, as a young dude playing baseball, I was chasing the wrong dreams, you know?
Fuck yeah.
And so now,
good advice for everybody.
Yeah, right. I mean, now I'm here trying to be the best mentor for my kids, like I would, like, like Sergeant Barraza was for me in the military. You know what I mean? How
Yep.
he raised me to be a young, great leader. I want to raise my kids to be young, great leaders as well, you know, and with that is, you know, the sergeant major on board, my wife, you know, is keeping her just as happy and as well as, you know, showing this open communication and dialogue to things that I struggle with, things that I'm insecure about, things that, you know, that maybe upset me, that in other relationships you don't talk about, you just let it brew and brew and brew until you explode, you know? And so there's this really cool difference here that I try to be good at daily, like the work thing. We'll go back to that. I love work because I find pride in doing great in things, like doing good. I want to be good at this. I want to be good at that. And when you want to be good at something, or you have a job like a law enforcement, where if you're not good, some people get hurt, right? You could be a liability, you know? So then that gets more of my attention because it's a life and death kind of career, that my family gets second. And when my family gets second, well, then imagine how that feels like being in a relationship with someone where you know, you're put second. That already is going down a path of like, that's a hardship. I'm not saying it's enough for divorce. I'm saying it's a hardship in a relationship that will continue to be an issue. And so now that I'm acting, I make a conscious decision to not allow acting to be the controller of our relationship, but my relationship to be everything, and acting being second, right? God is first, family second, work third. If there's a role that doesn't make sense, or I'm going to be gone too long and financially doesn't make sense, well, then why? Like, I'm not chasing notoriety through acting. You give two fucks about fame. Like, that shit's bullshit, right? I think all that weird shit is weird, right? Like, cool cars and houses, like, I don't care about that stuff, dude. You know what I mean? I care about cool memories, right? I care about raising two girls that were both state champs in wrestling. That for me was freaking the reward, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the where my mental space is now in life is about, you know, raising this household in a solid solid foundation of leadership and mentorship, and to hope that my kids will kind of be that many more steps above me at that age, where they start off life at 18, 19 in like a better mindset and better headspace of how to attack life.
For sure. That's interesting that you say that, because like we're kind of in the same space as far as like, I feel like my kids are going to be around for 10, 16 more years, something like that. So like we make all of our business decisions consciously on like how it affects our family. And we choose time and like freedom of location over almost everything. Cause money's going to come. Right. But I also see that like 20 years from now, with those little fuckers leave me, I'm going to be sad as fuck anyway. So I'm going to have like this whole other opportunity to go out and create whatever I want, or whatever my wife and I want at that point. Right.
Right.
So like now is that time to really be acutely aware. I understand compounding interest and all that shit, but like for me, there's nothing more important than the next 10 years with my 9-year-old daughter. Nothing. Yep. And like, you can't trade me any amount of money or put any amount of zeros on top of it. So like, we have this balance of like, how does that decision affect like me being home every night? How does that decision affect me being home for dinner or having flexibility? And the fact that you bring that up is like, that's spot on to the decision-making processes that we're doing as well. And I'm sure a lot of people do that, but I think that that's definitely,
other people have different priorities. When your kids are a priority, when your family's priority, that becomes the topic of conversation, priority, right? Some people, it's not, and that's fine. Like everyone chooses. Like some people say you shouldn't commit so much for your kids. You should cool. That's yours, right? For me, to I feel like it's my obligation, it's my duty, it's my responsibility. If I have kids, it is selfish as fuck of me not to give them all the answers, right? As much as possible. Now, I want to see them fail, and I want to see them fail often, because I'm like, good, learn from that. I want to raise resilient kids. That's why sports is very valuable in our household. Lose, get your ass kicked all day long. And I'm the backboard to say, cool, where do we need work? Let's fix it, right? Because this is what is going to happen in the future. They're going to get through a breakup. How do you fix it, right? How do you get better? How do you heal? How do you move forward? This is what I'm raising. I'm essentially raising an army of hopefully successful kids that are resilient with life. Life is the most unfair thing imaginable. There's nothing, you can't fathom what could potentially happen that would break your heart. So many different areas. But the fact is, I want to get them prepared mentally, emotionally, and physically for life, and if I do that, man, I could die tomorrow and say, I've done my job, because everything outside of that means shit, dude. Like it's right. I'm around so many people that chase fame daily. They chase fame. They post things for likes and shares. The influencers, it's this very interesting thing that I've watched, and I'm so glad I am able to see that and identify it, because I know at one point I was that. Right. There was a time when Article 15 started, when I started doing the social media, it was exciting to see how many people commented and liked and shared. It was like, ooh. And then you start like, what's next? What else can I post and get that? Right. Like, ooh, the notoriety between, we posted a video, people are like, oh my God, I love it. And you're like, oh, that feels good. It feels good to be noticed, right? It felt good. But that attention that it gave me, it made me want to create more of that attention. And then what that did was take my focus and time away from other things.
Yep.
Right. And so there's going to be, man, hundreds of influencers 10 years from now are going to be like, well, people aren't following me as much. People aren't sharing as much. People aren't engaging me in this. Why is that? Well, because there's been 10,000 other influencers behind you doing something different, something new, something more funny, that look better, that are younger. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if these influencers don't start figuring out 20 years from now, if they weren't thinking 20 years from now back then, they're going to be lost, right? Because
I also think people see right through the bullshit now. So if you're not authentically you with your brand, you're fucked. Like, you meet me in person and I'm exactly like I am right here talking to you. Like, and I'm no different. Like right. The things that I say about decisions about my family, all that shit, you can take it to the bank. It's 100%. That's how I eat, sleep, and breathe. And, and I think what you're talking about is the people that do things for the likes and the shares and things like that. And that's not in alignment with their integrity or their authenticity or who the fuck they are or whatever the word you want to choose. Is.
Well, they become a character, right? And that character cannot continue to exist, right? You have to wake up and play someone else. I get paid to do that as an actor, right? But you know what I mean? But the difference is I wake up every day and I'm Vince Vargas, and what I post on social media is Vince Vargas's life, right? And I don't have to, I tell people like, I back in the day when I did Article 15, people would come up to me, and you've been with me when people are like, hey man, say that word or do that thing. And I'm like, bro, I am not your fucking monkey, bro. Like, I'm not your dancing monkey at a fucking zoo or a circus, right? Like, that offends me, bro. And when people do that to me, it's like, wow, like, that's crazy for you to think that I'm here for your entertainment. Like, what I do on TV and all this stuff is my job. Right. And so I realized real fast, like, wow, that stuff gets old, and I can give two shits about any of it. I just my job as an actor is I work and act. When I'm outside of acting, you treat me with respect, I treat you with respect. I say hi to everybody. I shake everyone's hand. I treat everyone the same. I don't care if you're the cook, if you're the director, everyone gets the same. Good morning, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Goodbye, sir. Same old thing. Because, I'm not above anyone. And I'm in a society of people that tend to fall into that mindset. And it's interesting. And I'm like, cool. Don't want to do that. I'm not going to judge anyone for whatever they do, but it won't be me. I'll tell you that fucking right now. You know what I'm saying? And that is very important, because you'll come to see what is real in life. And the only thing that's real is like the love of the people that love you, right? Those relationships you've made. You think about who's going to be at your deathbed holding your hand, It ain't going to be some fucking dude liking my post in fucking Nebraska, dog. Right. You know what I'm saying? It ain't. I appreciate the motherfucker. I appreciate my support, but my kids and my wife will be in that room. And those are the ones that I need to focus on, keeping happy and helping them find success after me. Yeah.
And I mean, this show's about building empires. And I think for me and for you, it sounds like our legacy is our kids. Right. So like, it's not a monetary pile of money we're leaving behind. It's like
mindset.
What humans are we building?
Yep. Mindset. Yeah. these mindsets that I've had, bad mindsets, right? We have,
For sure.
we have generational traumas. Sometimes we get handed to us, right? Things like my dad saying, "Oh, be a man," right? Like, he don't know any better. That was handed to him from his dad, right? But I want to do my best to give my kids, a good foundation to be successful off of, and not be the victim mindset that so many in society currently are using, right? So many in society right now are blaming everyone around them for why they can't make money or they don't have a job. Like, it's like, that's the worst thing you could do is raise a kid with a victim mindset, right? For me, raise a kid with a mindset of there is nothing that can stop them if they have hard work, right? Like, hard work is like, for some reason, forgotten these days. Everyone looks
that's
for
why
the ticket.
There's so much opportunity, man. So much opportunity because of exactly what you said. The majority of people don't want to work hard. So now it's like 10 times easier to stand out for working kind of hard. Like,
So, Like, hey, open the door for me, dog. I'll show up the door down because I'm willing to work.
Right. Yeah. So
I get guys all the time that message me and like, bro, I want to be an actor. And I'm like, cool, dog, go back. Like, it's not hard to find the information. You know what I mean? But I've never seen a cop show up on the first day of job saying, "Hey, I want to be a cop," and they hand him a gun and say, "Go for it." No, everybody goes through a process, right? Everyone goes through a hiring process or some kind of funnel to get to their position. But if you're not willing to do the work, you look for the shortcuts and you just hope someone's going to hand it to you. And like, first of all, that never feels good. And it doesn't happen often, but like, if I got handed this job, I wouldn't be here season 4. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Crazy.
You also, if you wouldn't have been practicing your craft, like, and saying, "Hey, I'm good enough. I got on this show." Right.
Oh, bro. And then seeing the actors, right. And then seeing the actors around me be like, okay, I need to step up my game. Right. Like, I saw it. I was like, yeah, I'm not there yet, but it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get there. Right. I hired an acting coach. I studied more. I read more. I did everything I should have. And then I also went to the director or the creator of the show and said, I want more. Like, I want more, because if you give me more, I want to show you I can do it. Right. When I finally season 2 showed up, I said, hey, I can do these one-liners all day long because I'm part of the team. But if you want to trust me, I won't let you down. Like, I had the conversation, man, because like, I knew it. Like, give me the ball, coach. You know what I'm saying? Put me in the game. I've been working. I've been training. I've been doing what I need to do. And I had to have the conversation with like, I promise, bro, if you give me the opportunity, I will stick it, And once they give me a little and I do my best. I do my best. And they call me later and say, good job. I'm like, cool. Right. And it's grown and grown and grown,
That's awesome. Yeah, man. And so we were talking earlier about how like there's a perception that you're not actually an entrepreneur, if you will, but like, I totally disagreed as soon as you said it, because of like, your personal brand is the business that you're running. You're CEO of Vince Vargas Enterprises, right?
Right. Well, that's the thing. I think it was one of those actors. One of those rappers said it. He said,
"I'm not a businessman. I'm
a businessman." And I love that, because genuinely, like, everything I do is marketing my brand, right? Like in my brand, what I've decided to show the world is me, right? Like, not everyone does that. Some people hire people to run their social media and make sure it looks glitz and glamour and beautiful. And that's cool, man, because they want to project a certain brand, and that's good. They've chose their direction, right? They chose their form of marketing for their company, and I chose mine, and it is to be me. And if you're going to work with me, you're going to know the real me, and I can, I can go to battle with the best when it comes to marketing, but I just choose to just be myself. And I believe I think that's the power of being authentic and showing who you really are, your true character, and you're going to win some, you're going to lose some.
Yeah. And the thing that I'm seeing out of the special operations community specifically, I'm sure this is like across the board with everybody else, but like the people that I talk to and interview for this show that have gone deep on themselves are really, really comfortable with all their flaws. And like, I think that that's what makes it easy to be like authentically you. Like it, and I'm the same. When we've had a lot of conversations about raising your kids, like one of the things I was going to say is that like I'm super honest and transparent with my kids that like I'm just figuring shit out, man. Like when we were younger, we all thought our parents like knew a bunch of shit, right? Like they had the key. Then now it's us, and we're like, fuck, man. Yeah, right. they were just getting by, going in their room.
Yeah, and I've had the conversation with my oldest daughter. I said, there is no book. You've heard that, and there is no book. Like, I don't know what works and what doesn't, but I know that I've had good intentions the whole time, right? I used to spank my kids when I was younger, right? And I thought like, well, maybe I could just talk to them better or teach them why. And so I find different techniques of discipline that I felt would be more effective, right? Now that most of my kids have phones, like, give me that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Far more effective.
Right. Taking away the video games or something. But there's this different, there is no answer. So my daughters wrestled, right? They only wrestled because I wouldn't take them to cheerleading practice because I was a single dad and it didn't make sense to me to take kids to two different practices. I couldn't be there for the boys wrestling. Well, girls, you're sitting there. You might as well get on the mat and train, right? My daughter's giving me shit about it. She goes, Dad, I just wish I said, my bad. But it worked out. You're a state champ. You've learned how to protect yourself. You've learned physical fitness. You've learned how to have grit, determination, push, drive, all these things that you probably would have learned in cheerleading too if you took it to a high level. But I mean, I did the best I could. I made that choice. I stuck with it. My bad. You know, it was good. It still had good intentions. These kids, it's funny. Like, and I love being honest with them, because you have to. Talking to my son about girls, like he was chasing a girl, and I said, come here, dude. It's like, you don't ever have to chase a girl, bro. If you like her, just say you like her. Like, let's not fall into what all these other kids do because they're too afraid to talk to girls and their dad hasn't told them this yet, but they don't have to chase a girl. Just walk right up to her and say, I like you. I don't know what that means because we're 13 years old. I don't know, but I'm just going to say, I like you, right? Like, let's start there. And then, you figure it out, because when you start chasing and this girl tripped him and dropped him on the floor. And now I'm watching it from the far. I'm like, all right, come here. Stop. Like, stop, dude. Just tell her you like her and just be good with it, because this other stuff, and it's funny because like my dad never told me like to go up to a girl. He was just like, do you got a girlfriend? No. He goes, are you gay? I'm like, no. Yeah. I'm like, no. He's like, okay. And he walks away. I'm like, all right, Dad, good talk.
Good talk.
So now I try and like, hey man, I'm all supportive. I'll help you. You treat women with respect, and my daughter went on a date, the other 16-year-old daughter, right? She went on a date.
Yeah.
And this is the only thing I said, he needs to come to the house so I can meet him. I'll shake his hand. That's what I asked, because I think it's very appropriate for a man to do that. And I expect my boys to do the same. Right. And then I said, and I talked to both of them. I said, both of you have respect for each other and protect each other. That's it. You guys call me the worst case scenario. You call me best case scenario. You call me. Right. I'm the ride or die dad. You call me. I'll make sure it all gets figured out. You know what I mean? But like, I want her to have the confidence saying, call dad when things get weird. And
man.
And her boyfriend to say, call dad when things get weird. And also to know, like, they should always protect each other. But I expect my daughter to have the same respect for him that I expect him to give her.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
For sure. Did you say you guys are moving?
No, we thought
process.
about it.
Okay.
No, we're here to stay, man.
Okay.
I travel to LA for work. I stay with my sister, and then we're settled in this house here. We're pretty happy.
Awesome. Well, I mean, it's hard to beat the scenery of Utah. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. There's days I wake up and still take pictures of it. Like I've been here 5 years. I'm like, I love it.
Yes. So what do you got coming up, man? What are you working on? What are you passionate about? Tell me about your veteran project. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's dig in, because that's near and dear to my heart as well. So let's discuss.
Veteran is just a word that I created. I accidentally said it, and I was like, man, I love that, because it says everything that needs to be said when you talk about veterans. We should be better. We should strive to be better, right? And it's everything that the community is not talking about, right? Because the community, for some reason, focuses on every negative aspect of the veteran community, right? We used the negative statistic as a marketing ploy to generate attention, which in turn, which people didn't realize, the residual effect of that is that everyone thinks veterans are broken. 20 years of promoting 22 a day, which is not accurate, but we'll just say that. Thousands of nonprofits have been popped up to support veterans suicide that label themselves 22. They jumped on a statistic that isn't necessarily a fact, right? And we used it for marketing for all these days to create kind of to tug at the heartstrings of people that really care about veterans and want to support. Right. And what that created, the ripple effect of that is society that doesn't understand anything about veterans but supports us feels sorry for us, and they believe we're broken. And then what had happened in the veteran community is, when you get out of active duty, you sit there thinking like, oh shit, I'm not excited about this transition. Yeah, am I broken? Am I going to be a statistic? Oh my God. And think about that. Us who have kids, did you raise your kids and they graduate high school and they're scared of doom and gloom that they might commit suicide? No, they're excited about what is next. What's the next chapter have for them? How's college going to be, right? There's no college graduate that graduates college and says, man, I might commit suicide now. No, because no one tells them it's going to be hard. They just say, woo, go use that degree and find a way to be successful with it, right? And they're like, hell yeah, let me go get a new job. That's what we should be, right? We should get out of the military and be like, hell yeah, I am free. Time to go get another job and kick that ass, right? You know what I mean? But for some reason, I don't know why we jumped on this train of the negativity and we're riding it out. And I chose to go against that, right? I sat back and said, let's think outside the box here. Like, this is ridiculous. Let's push our veterans to do more. Let's push positivity. And so I created Better in the brand, right? And there's a few shirts online. I tried to do some hokey marketing to really push it out there, and it didn't work. And so I backtracked and I'm restarting all over again. And I'm doing whatever I want. It's mine. I'm just going slow. But behind the scenes, I have a nonprofit that I'm trying to slowly grow and build on my own without outside, influences, and create an environment for veterans. I want to create a transition center for veterans to show up, shake the hand of another veteran who's been through the program, and get help physically, emotionally, financially, everything. Like, there's answers for how we can do this. I really believe it starts from getting guys' hormones checked, getting mentally healthy, physically healthy. And then we have to stop enabling guys to just be victims, because somehow so many people were willing to help that everyone's now looking for the handout instead of getting up and grinding that fucking life away, bro, working your ass off.
Yep. There's so many different things that I've seen throughout my time, and that leads to, like, there's a lot of different issues with that community, right? Transitioning. Like, for me, I just shifted focus as fast as possible. And like, that's what led to my kind of downward spiral. Like, I just moved on to the next mission as fast as I possibly could, and went into the corporate world and like tried to like numb it out, shift focus, blinders, next thing. Right. And then I didn't wake up to the fact that like I was having some serious problems like for a couple of years. And I mean, it was obvious probably to anyone looking in from the outside, but I was doing just fucking fine. But I mean, it affected everything, right? Like your relationships, your quality of life. I was drinking every night and everything else that went on. I mean, I was functioning just fine, but like I was incredibly erratic and unstable in any sort of relationship. There was no such thing as that happening, right?
Yeah.
And so But I mean, yeah, I don't understand the entitlement side of things, but I think it's part of what goes along with like how they set them up when they're transitioning out. The one point I was going to make is like, that's a human condition more than anything. The same exact thing, especially coming out of like high performing units like ours, because that is your identity. And so like you see it in sports, you see it with guys that play pro ball, they don't have that anymore. And then they don't know who the fuck they are, or like they spiral out of control. I liken that to like what we do, the higher tier units for sure. The regular Army and stuff, like there's different things going on there.
Yeah, I think some of the regular Army stuff becomes insecurities of maybe they didn't do enough of what they thought they should, or maybe they wanted to do more, or and so there becomes this really weird, they're trying to fill the void with something outside of that. It doesn't make sense to me. But I think a lot of us lose our identity, right? Like I was an Army Ranger and I believed everything about that. And anyone who wasn't an Army Ranger can go fuck themselves. Like genuinely, that's how I thought, right? Yeah. Like fuck you, you're a pussy, right? Like that's how I was taught, and I believed it. I believed it to the T. And it took a long time for my bad. Sorry, Mom. But it took a while to like be human again, right? It took a while to be human again and really see like the empathy for everyone who served and the appreciation and gratitude for everyone who did every job out there, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of people that still don't, just can't ground themselves enough to be like, even if I was a supply guy, like you did your job and I'm proud of you for that. Good job. Yeah. Like seriously. But sometimes some of them can't get, some of them aren't proud of that. And I don't know why, because maybe guys like me originally pissed them off and said some rude ass shit to them, right? Like I know I was part of that problem, Right. And, no doubt. But there's guys that message me all the time, be like, oh man, I wasn't as cool as you. I was like, dude, you're all cool. The fact that you served at a time of war, holy crap, that's crazy, right? Like any of you who signed up during war, like what? Any of you that went to war, what? Like that's a crazy thing, and I appreciate you, right? Like there's gratitude there, and I was definitely part of the problem of giving some people insecurities by saying, you didn't serve war like I did, and then and that's part of growing is like I can acknowledge that, and I can tell you like, yeah, there was a time that I did suck about that, and I woke up real fast and said like, wow, that's very, very wrong answer and wrong way to be. I don't know. That's part of the growth, man. That's part of us like willingness to look in the mirror and say, okay, I suck, and I need to fix that. And
well, I think there needs to be more people like us out there. And I say myself, I don't, not tooting my own horn, but I think we need to be out there championing the opportunity of like what's next for everybody. Because like they don't need to be going in there and getting the 37 opioid cocktail from the VA to like numb their shit, because like there's nothing out there for them. Like if they do the work on themselves and like fix their shit, or have a willingness to, like there's a whole world out here, man, like of possibilities.
Well, dude, just to say that, like, how many combat veterans are in Hollywood acting on a major television show? There's probably 4 of us.
Okay. I would have said, I have no idea.
I know there's me, and I know 2 others that are making their way. Right. Okay. I know one Navy SEAL dude who's doing really good. Why is that? 20 years of war. Before that, in the 60s, there was an abundance of veterans, right? After the Vietnam War, there's a ton of veterans. There are filmmakers, writers, producers, actors. At one point, we stopped having someone to chase. At one point, we stopped having that veteran that says, hey, if he can do it, I can do it. And that is a big thing in a lot of our worlds. Tell me one of the most successful veteran entrepreneurs in the corporate world. I have no idea. I don't know their name, but I should.
I just met the CEO of Remax. He's a veteran. Yeah, he runs the whole fucking company.
Why doesn't the veteran community know his name?
They should.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we don't have that person that we can relate to and say, oh, if he can do it, I can do it. Because that's all it is. It really is, right? It's really that, man, if that dude can do it, why can't I? I'm nothing special, right? There's nothing special about this guy, right? Just a dude who decided, well, let me pivot that direction. Let me ignore everyone that says no, and I'm going to keep on driving towards the finish line, right? And because I've done that, I've had thousands of message veterans like, man, you inspire me. Good. I'm glad. I hope to God there's an influx of veterans just coming through there, like the few of us that are there now, and wanting to be the biggest actors of our time. You know what I mean? But we need someone to chase.
I mean, that's the great thing about mediums like this, though, because like now I can have you on here and shine your light on hundreds of people that otherwise may not know what you're doing. Because as you're talking, I'm thinking, and I'm like, well, these stories aren't highlighted.
No, they don't create shares, bro. They don't create shares.
I also think that probably to reach the level of like Remax CEO and shit like that, like being successful, I don't know about you, but for me, like my time in fucking special operations up until recently was not really something I talked about at all. It was like, hey, I scored fucking 5 touchdowns in the homecoming football game 20 years ago, right? Because for me, like when I went through my period of like working on myself, trying to fix all my shit, like that's one of the things that resonated with me that I thought I needed to do. And maybe I was wrong about doing it, but like that is part of my past and I'm just leaving it behind. And like my future is where I'm going. So I didn't even tell people that I was a veteran or that I was in special operations or none of that shit. Cause like, I want you to know what I'm doing today, right now.
Yes. Well, so there's this weird balance that we have to do. So I'm the same. I did everything I could not to. Obviously, we did videos and people knew who I was and knew my background. Yeah. But for the most part, it wasn't a thing. Like I don't have on my bio Army Ranger on my Instagram. It just has a number 2 with 2 little diamonds, right? Because people, if you know, you know, right? Yep. And it was this thing where like I too started to forget all that and started to push it behind me. Like, no, I'm an actor. But there's a balance that has to be done for ourselves. We have to also remember the hard work and effort it took to accomplish that task and be proud of that, right? But we can't forget it. And that's the weird thing, because this is where my mindset of like, I want to be special operations and acting. Yep. I had to put that in my mind. So I went through like a depression for years. I haven't worked out in so long until recently, like 2 months ago. I fell in love again with working out. Bro, you can tell me a million things. Everyone could tell me a million things. Like, bro. Yeah. It goes one ear out the other. I didn't give a shit. I didn't care. I am now falling back in love with the gym. It's a beautiful thing for me to feel. But I was mad at myself. But it took one guy in the gym I'm working out with, and he goes, and he really kind of solidified. He goes, hey, you've been special operations in like everything you've done. I said, yeah, pretty much. He goes, what is special operations in like acting? Like, what is... I was like, I don't know, man, maybe winning an Emmy. It's like really going up there. He goes, you think you can do that? I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't even started this career if I didn't think I could be one of the best ones in this motherfucker, right? It's just how my head goes. And he goes, well, you should probably get in shape. And I was like, fuck, like that. What a kick in the nuts, right? But I needed to hear that because he's right. I'm taking food out of my kids' mouths. I'm losing opportunity daily because I'm not in the best shape of my life, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And that was like, because I forgot what it took to be an Army Ranger. I forgot what it took to be special operations in the Border Patrol. I forgot what it took to be a drill sergeant. I forgot about it because I was so freaking living in the now. I was like, forget what I did. Like, I can't forget everything. I have to remember the efforts and the work that it took to get there because I need to do that still. And that is where I've been struggling with and trying to find the balance in that as well, because I don't want to live my whole life and saying, yeah, I was an Army Ranger. Like, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck, dude? I'm proud of it. Yeah, but who gives a fuck?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I love the relationships we've been able to make and the ones that have carried on but my mentality is like, what am I doing today? Yesterday doesn't matter, right?
Well, you know why? Because both of us went to Benning and both of us got rides by a cab driver who says he used to be an Army Ranger, right? And we're both like, I'm sorry, what? and nothing wrong being a cab driver. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, fuck it. Let me get through this and get somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't want to be the Al Bundy of the military and talk about those touchdowns in high school, right? We don't want to be that, but there's a part of us that has to enjoy and be proud and remember that hard work and effort it took. Like, there is something special about that, right?
Yep.
And whatever was special in your heart to accomplish that, it's still there, right? That fire's still burning. You just gotta, you gotta nurture that motherfucker and use it in a different direction.
Yeah. It's got to be pointed in the right direction for sure, because it can be dangerous pointed back at you.
Oh, I'm sober now. It's 2 years and 5 months, I believe. The last time I looked, there's 6 months. And
congrats, brother.
Yeah, because my weapon of choice was alcohol to slow everything down. Right. Part of that depression I went through for so many years is because I ran to alcohol to kind of just ignore everything around me. Right. Ignore, why are you gaining weight? Like, I don't know. I don't give a shit. Right. Right. Yep. I use that as my tool to celebrate, to mourn, to drink more, to eat more, and it was a fight to keep weight off. But it was just really weird time for me. And I realized a lot of my friends who committed suicide were drinking. And I just didn't want to give myself that excuse. And not saying I'm ever in that mindset. I'm saying we all have weak moments. And I would hate for that weak moment to happen at the same time that I'm drinking, at the same time something else, and then boom, a bad decision made, And so to mitigate that, to risk mitigation, alcohol's out, and bro, that has been one of the biggest changes of my life that has inspired so much more growth. I'm like, oh shit, if I could stop that, if I could stop drinking, something I've done since I was 16 years old. Yeah. If I can stop that, there's nothing stopping me of achieving anything. That is what has been, that's been part of my life since I was 16. Yeah. So now I'm like, my mind's like, well then shit, let's get addicted to working out again. Right. Like, so I'm slowly trying to go down that path. It takes time, consistency, discipline, all these things, but my mind is now in that place and I'm trying to keep it there.
I love it, man. You've got to keep it sharp. I noticed that when I was in the corporate world, man, like it's a slippery slope of just getting soft. And like, you have to sharpen that edge however you can do it. And one of them is like fitness and mental challenges and things like that, just to keep you sharp. Yeah. Because we live in such a cush world where we don't know hardship truly. Like, you gotta make it. You always got to make it. Yeah. You got to engineer it. It's crazy. It is crazy.
That. You got to engineer it. Even if that's in the gym, right? Even if it's in the gym, engineering pain and suffering in the gym.
Right. 100%, man. 100%. Where can people reach you, man? Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, wherever. Vincent Rocco Vargas is my Instagram. Vincent Rocco Vargas. You can find that pretty much anywhere. On Twitter, it is at @the_real_Rocco. And if anyone reaches out, man, I answer every single message. I respond to everybody, and some people say I just want to talk. I give my number. I mean, bro, I'm the realest, normal, basic dude, bro.
I know that. Well, man, I appreciate our friendship, and I love you, bro. And if you need anything from me, or if I can help you ever, I'm here for you. Guys, this guy is going to be an Emmy award-winning actor soon.
One day.
Vincent Rocco Vargas. Definitely follow him. Keep shining bright, bro.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you for listening to the show. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. We'll see you on the next episode of the Tactical Empire.